Hello, thanks for joining us. From 1958, we've had an institution that has grown to become one of the most celebrated, well, in terms of finance terms, also generating a lot more revenue to the state. But it's an industry that keeps evolving because the world has changed and technology now plays a meaningful role in the industry. We're talking lotteries this morning, and we want to speak to the new Director General of the National Lottery Authority. Well, there's a lot of innovation expected in the next few years in the industry, but particularly with the authority. But with its also new Director General, what should we be expecting? And we have Honorable Osei Ameyaw, a former Member of Parliament for Esojamang, but also a distinguished lawyer and businessman on his own. Well, so we're here to speak to him. How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you, Roland. I like your opening.
Well, thank you very much.
Very good.
It comes with the experience, sir.
Yes, you've been doing well, very well.
Okay.
And 1958.
Yeah.
Brennan, the gentleman there, started it all, and we've come a long way, as you said. It's a business that revolves around technology, law, and finance. So quite interesting area of business.
Usually, I would be speaking to you in other spheres as a politician, as a businessman, because we have some interactions in the past, etc. But now you've been placed in this chair to manage lottery in Ghana. What is your own observation about the current state of the lottery industry in the country?
Well, the current state of lottery is good, it's reasonable, but we have to take it to another level. And it is that level, the new level that I'm looking at from where I found it. Now, the revenue that we are making now for state development is within the vicinity of about 400 million a year. I want to be able to take it to 1 billion, and that is the level I want to take it. And in terms of the technology, we need to bring in more innovative technology, new technology, and then the law is also another area that I want to strengthen. So once we strengthen the law, we bring in the technology, then we'll be able to open up the finance and then get the revenue that we require for national development, and also to assist those we need to assist in terms of deprivation, orphans, the aged, veterans, soccer or sports. Yeah, those are the areas we need to look at. And then also the financial arm, look at the banking industry. Now we have about 15 or so banks that we work with. Now want to partner them and then be able to give them the agencies without them opening new branches, which cost so much money, rather than use our network or our gateway for their business. So that's an area that is going to open up the financial muscle that we are looking for.
At the end of the day, before coming to speak to you, I did some reading around the industry across the globe, and you get to find that especially in the West and in America, where it is a big business, provides a lot more income for many people. You find that in our part of the world, it is very much stereotyped in some level of religiosity and perhaps also some cocooned in a certain way, as if it's sinful to become somebody who is interested in gaming. How do we change that perception of Lotto not being sinful, but also providing a means for people to change their lives?
That's an interesting one. Lotto has been in the Bible, it's been part of Christianity and even Islam. I guess ignorance may be the reason for that. And so education, and publicity. Caritas is where the companies that want to do their own promotional games, they come on that Caritas platform. And then we, because we are the authority and we have the mandate, we give them the license to operate on that Caritas. So they pay us a certain amount, and then we then do the draw for them. So there's a level of transparency and trust between us and the public, between us, them, and the public. Because if you left it to them, the public will not believe that what they are doing is the right way.
So you serve as the interface.
We serve as
you give credibility.
Precisely.
Oh, great.
We do so. So that if MTN says they are doing some promotional game with their short code, they have to come through us, and then we give that credibility, as you correctly pointed out.
But I know that you now operate or perhaps are regulated by the law, the Act 722.
Yes.
And you were talking about regulation, etc. How can we improve on the current state of the regulation that would also strengthen the competitiveness of the NLA?
Well, we have we have a draft legislation or draft bill that is going to Parliament to make sure that the loopholes and the weaknesses within the current act are sealed, so that we bring everybody into sync. The holes that are creating, bringing in those who are not supposed to be operating to order, so that the revenue base can be expanded. Once we are able to get Parliament to give us the new law that seals the loopholes, we should be able to, the law should be able to work effectively.
That's interesting. Can you give us some highlights of perhaps the new bill, for example? We know it will be an amendment to the current one.
It's a completely new one. Yeah, that brings all the areas that are of concern to us in terms of private lotto operators, the other businesses engage in the business of lottery, but yet are not paying the taxes and paying for the license fees that they are ordinarily supposed to pay, but hiding behind the weakness within the current law. They would all come into shape. And then also the gaming, the veterans, all those areas that are currently open for others to come in without necessarily paying their bills, their taxes. We'll bring them in, and hopefully government will be able to have the resources and the revenue that government requires to develop the nation. So really, this is to bring in revenue for government to develop the country.
Revenue is critical. It's important for the development of every state. But you would say that the NLA, from the time it was a department to its current state, has always struggled with what we call in our parlance banker to banker. And it's something we need to clamp down on. But how do we streamline that? How does the new bill also tend to create that enablement in a way?
You see, it's very interesting. Banker to banker have existed for a long time, and we don't seek to oust them completely. But we have to understand that we are a nation where the rule of law has been accepted by all, that we must operate within the remits of the law. Now, there is no law that allows for private lotto operators, banker to banker. So until we have the law that allows private lotto operation, we cannot be seen that there are some above the law. but there is equality before the law and the supremacy of the law. And in this particular case, where one operates lottery without the law permitting them to operate, is illegal, and we cannot condone that activity. So we are going to come out with an amnesty period or a moratorium where we get all of them to come sit down with us, and then whatever they need to rope them in so that they can pay their fair share of taxes or revenue, so that government can expand the revenue base. I think that would be the best way. So we are not looking at clamping down on them per se or going after them because we don't want them to lose their livelihood or the ability to support their family. But they must also obey the law. And by so doing, we will get them all together. If we have to go into a PPP arrangement, public-private partnership arrangement with them, so that we bring them within the remits of the law, so we shall. And I think that is the way. It's more or less like Galam say, we cannot allow the, people to break the law and then just leave them to operate with impunity. I think it is fair, all Ghanaians would understand that those who pay their taxes do so pursuant to the law, and those who don't pay taxes cannot be allowed to go on as if it is business as usual. We must bring them within line, and I think it is fair. They understand, our brothers and sisters who are operating outside the law understand that they have to come within the law, and as long as we give them time to readjust and then bring them in line, we would all be happy and operate in peace. It's not a question of war. It's Georgia, and then also get Parliament to do their job. In fact, it is interesting. What we are saying is that Ghanaians themselves have voted, elected parliamentarians who brought in the Act 722, the law that says if you want to operate or you want to delve in lottery or lotto, you must come within Act 722. So you cannot operate outside that act. And basically, we are not seeking to do something new. We are just seeking to enforce the law that Parliament has passed.
Well, regulations, legality, etc. But I also know that you're choosing your words carefully, trying to be diplomatic about how you send the message out there. At the end of the day, we also know that there could be the fear that the NLA wants to strengthen its monopoly in a way.
Well, it's not a question of strengthening monopoly. It is the state. NLA is not a creature of a private organization. It is the state. The state has the power, right, to develop the country. The state has the power to mobilize the resources for the good of all. The state, the three arms of government, the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. And then the fourth realm of the estate, that's the media. We come together, and together we must regulate how one should lead their lives. And basically, it's not a question of monopoly as a private entity, but this is the state. It's a part of the state. NLA is not a private entity. It is part of government. It is part of the state. And so you cannot have a state having a monopoly. The state itself is a monopoly. So it's not trying to increase upon any monopoly. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel.
But you do know that it is going to be a fight. Of course, you're going to win, but not without hurdles.
Oh, I thought the law establishes there are no hurdles. The law says what it is. If the law is changed and says that from today, the government is not interested in mobilizing the revenue or resources for national development, and that we ought to give it away to the private and let the private people who collect the revenue and keep it, then it's a matter for the state. But at this particular time, I don't have any problem with enforcement of the law. Enforcement of the law is critical, and our job here is to make sure that we adhere to the law and comply with the law, and that's what we are doing. Anything short of that would be dereliction of our duty and responsibility, and that we cannot do.
The role that you play, and I know, based on what I read and hear, there's also supposed to be a gaming commission.
Yes.
You guys are same institutions parallel, or what do you do?
We used to be together until 2006. They decoupled the gaming commission. That is under Interior Ministry, and that is 721, and ours is 722. It used to be together. We are hoping that we can sanitize it and then make sure that the regulations and the enforcement is uniform, so we don't have a situation where our funds, whatever monies we make, go to the consolidated funds. All the revenue from gaming, lotto or lottery should all be put together and pushed to the consolidated fund so that we can expand the consolidated fund for national development. So we are not seeking to do something new. We are just trying to pull the revenue stream together so that we can have a bigger stream flowing for all.
Now, I'm asking this because I grew up in a community called Ashaiman.
Yes,
And I go through Ashaiman, I see a lot more of the Chinese innovated jackpots around and all. So it means that there's room for you to expand and also get to a lot more target market, customers, etc.
That's true. I mean, Act 722 empowers the National Lottery Authority to collaborate, to go into partnership in gaming. So we can do that now. But the Gaming Commission, as you said, also have the main mandate. But in terms of regulation, I think we are more equipped to do that. And with the Lotto Court that was inaugurated by the Chief Justice, with the executive instrument for prosecution, for NLA to have its own prosecution, and with the coming into force or operation of Lotto police, Lotto community policing, we'll be able to clamp down on the Chinese illegal activities or so-called activities in Ashaman, your area, where they allow children or underage children to go in and then play these jackpots or pokey machines. Yeah.
Well, sounds good, because I was just about getting onto transitioning into the subject of the Lotto courts and the inauguration and etc. How's it going to work like? I mean, practically.
Practically, the Chief Justice has designated 11 courts, circuit courts, 2 in Greater Accra and 1 in each region. So with our prosecution department and then our policing, once one is charged or we gather information that somebody has breached the act or the regulations, then they prepare the docket for the prosecution, goes to the court. The judges are well trained about this specialized area, so they know exactly what they're doing. Then they can then deal with the person that has breached the rules, or the entity, the company that has breached the rules, and then they dispense justice. And once we do that, people will then become aware that you cannot take for granted the laws of this country. And I'm hoping that, just like Galamsey, those Chinese people within the lottery industry who are not even permitted to engage in these activities would be prosecuted and will be dealt with, because siphoning national revenue into private pockets should not be tolerated, and that we will not tolerate.
I love the sternness in your voice. So we're going to have a replica of how Galamsey clampdown is ongoing. Same being replicated in the lotto industry, is that it?
If it is the same, if they have the same alignment, then, well, hopefully we will deal with that. I don't know about Galamsey having their own courts, but with Lotto, you heard the Chief Justice speak recently about the inauguration. And then also there's, as I said, an executive instrument that allows us to prosecute, NLA prosecutors to prosecute. And so it's been a very serious issue in terms of diminishing national revenue. And we need the revenue to develop the whole of Ghana, and that if a few people are going to take the law into their own hands, then the proper thing to do is to use the due process of the law to deal with the situation. So we are not a country of lawlessness, so we must deal with people who are breaking the laws. And I think this is a civil way of dealing with the issue.
National Lottery Authority. So you're national. You're everywhere in Ghana. Is that the case?
That is right. We are everywhere in Ghana. You can see all over.
Oh, that's why we have the map here.
Yes, you have the map here. You can see the green dotted areas. These are where we have...
like these greens?
Yes, we have solid presence. In the whites, we are there, but not as solid as the green. But the red are the areas where we don't have presence and where the private lottery operators are. We are hoping that very soon we'll be able to give them all the machines.
So you're not here, many of these areas?
That's right.
Looks like a lot.
It is. That means a lot of revenue being taken away from us in those areas. And this in the next few months, we'll have presence in those areas so we can mobilize the revenue for government.
That's a vision?
Yes, that's part of the vision. Yes, why not? The vision is to mobilize revenue for national development and to support orphans, the deprived, the aged, the pensioners. So we need the money, we need the funds, and these are the areas we need to go to create the
And these are where the lotto courts will become a lot more instrumental.
Yes, oh yes. I mean, once we've given everybody the opportunity to fall within line, and those who would go outside, you find yourself before the court. We are not a country where the rule of the jungle works. We are a country where rule of law works. So it should be okay.
For all the things that you've told me, what's the most critical of the vision that you have? I mean, now just assuming this responsibility.
The most critical is the value addition to the operators, the LMCs, the lotto marketing companies. What we seek to do is to be able to give them outlets that are modern, technologically innovative, cooperating with the banks. So once you enter the kiosk, you don't only go and stake lotto, but you can pay your electricity bill, you can pay water, you can pay DSTV, everything, perhaps even your land rates, your property rates, all at once. And then you can also do your mobile money transaction on the same platform. So they'll have a machine that gives them a wallet that once you win the lotto, you can go there, and it's not only a point of sale, but a point of payment. We can then scan and you get the money loaded onto your phone. Electronically. And then you can pay your bills electronically. So it becomes a cash light system.
Cash what?
Light, not cashless. Because we are trying to eventually eliminate cash, but it cannot be eliminated completely. So the little cash you have, the light your pocket is in terms of cash, the better. So everything is loaded on your phone, so to speak. And this is the technology that we want to bring. And
more technology at play.
And that more technology.
We want to synchronize with what the more developed world is.
Precisely, precisely, precisely. And by doing so, we need to strengthen the law, and then with that, the finance aspect of the business would expand. And that's the way we want to look at it.
The NLA, do you have, or do you take cognizance of the fact that with deployment of technology also comes with the need to have the necessary security that would ensure that people don't infiltrate?
Of course.
Lotto is big business.
It is.
So is it for hackers?
Exactly. So then we need the firewalls. And our technological part should be very, very tight so that people cannot just go in or midstream and siphon what the good work we've been doing. So our technology must be up to scratch. We must be on point with the technology. The firewalls must be solid so you can't enter. But you are right, the hackers and everybody would attempt to go in. But hey, if we want to do the business well, we must be ready for it.
Yeah, I see now that, well, from my time, and I'm sure your time, we now have a lot more products. You have a lot more services now, or products on the market. You have the national, for each of the days, you have actually Lotto.
Yes, in fact, we are even planning to bring more games a day. We should be able to do 5 draws in a day. Online lottery, mobile phone.
Wow.
You can use.
I'll be interested in that.
You can sit at home.
Once my wife doesn't hear, I think that's.
Well, your wife will be upset with you only when you lose.
I won't tell her.
But when you win,
that's on my
when you win the millions, your wife will be very happy with you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but you can sit in the comfort of your office and then play the game on your phone, and that you can do every hour or so, and every hour or so there will be a draw on your phone.
Great. I'm sure that you reach your target of 1 billion very soon.
Hopefully.
Okay. But the fisherman in Yeji, who wants to stake, let's say, a Lotto, or even, let's say, my uncle is in Shaiman somewhere, wants to stake something. By which time do we hope that we can deploy technology in such a way that it becomes easier for them?
We have been in contact with the Ministry of Communications. We are now planning on working with GIFEX, who have their own network, communication network. Once we partner them, we'll be able to go to all the remote areas that the telcos are not operating. But right now, we operate with the GPS system. So we ride on the back of the telcos, but then we want to expand to go to Yeji and areas that we don't have telephone access. And then we are going to send a lot of the POS, point of sale machines, so that your uncle can just go to the corner shop or use their telephone, because the POS is going to be telephone based. So once they have their telephone, which is Android, once they have an Android phone, they will be able to play and do whatever they want to do in those remote areas. So Roland, we are on track. We are hoping that with the strengthening of the law, with the prosecution, with the technology, we'll be able to work well enough to increase our revenue base, and then put more money to Ministry of Finance or to the consolidated funds, and then they will be able to distribute these funds for the areas that we are lacking so much. We are lacking so much funds to develop. I mean, we need a lot of money for development of our country. And this is one place, one area that we are working hard towards revenue mobilization for national development.
Good outlay of the vision, and I believe that once you are here and you want to see through that vision, we hope that that could also come to a certain good conclusion.
Yes. As usual, I mean, we are all working hard so that we can develop and improve Ghana. The way we came to see it, we shouldn't leave it as that, but rather before we leave it, we must improve upon what we found. Our ancestors, our forebears have done their bit. It took us from colonialism to independence, and we must improve upon what they left for us. We cannot come in and then leave it worse off than how we found it. So for me, it is a challenge, but we are ready and up to the task of the challenge. And hopefully, with the cooperation of all Ghanaians, we shall overcome very soon. So give us a few months, and then with your help in disseminating the information, communicating to the public, we should be able to get to where we want to very soon.
Well, thank you very much. And we're privileged to have this discussion with you. I'm sure that we'll be back in the studio and do the normal discussions that we usually do on mainstream issues.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you too.
Yeah, God bless.
Well, we've been speaking to Kofi Osei Ameyao. He's a newly appointed Director General for the National Lottery Authority. And he has laid out his vision, but also with the support of his staff, we're hoping that we will expand the lottery sector in our country to synchronize with what is replicated across the world. Well, that'll be it for now. We have to go back to the studio, take a break, and then when we come back, we'll have a lot more discussions on the show.